The next Xbox, in my opinion, is going to be the last. We are entering into a new era of gaming that is potentially going to leave consoles behind. Now, this is rumor. This is subject to change. Who knows if this is true or not? But in my opinion, I think there's probably some validity to this because it does make sense. Also, I apologize. I apologize if I sound like I have a cold because I do have one. Microsoft's next gen Xbox premium PC console hybrid set for 2027. This is honestly what I, as a child, thought was going to eventually inevitably happen. It seems like I was right. Consoles are going to start blurring those lines between gaming console and computer PC, gaming PC. Microsoft is developing a high-end Xbox launching in 2027, functioning as a Windows 11 gaming PC, custom AMD, optimized for living room use. It seems like it says here, Xbox executives, including President Sarah Bond, confirm active prototyping for the premium experience, pricing between $1,000 and $1,500. I think if you're going to sell a gaming console, you cannot hit that $1,000 mark. That number is absolutely insane. Nobody's going to give $1,000 or more for a gaming console. But what they might do is give between $1,000 and $1,500 for a gaming PC. I think that price tag is quite interesting because it does kind of show that okay, this is happening. We're going to get a PC Xbox hybrid. And what does that look like? You know, is it just an Xbox with the Xbox UI and then you can just swap to a Windows PC and then all of a sudden you're just on a PC? That seems like that's where they're going with this. And that's like, in my mind, that was the future. When we were kids, that's like the future we saw. You know, you're playing Xbox 360, you're playing on PlayStation 2, PS3 on the Wii. We were thinking like, what's the next step? The next step is just combining with computers. And here we are. No paywall for multiplayer. So that's interesting because I guess that's because you're on PC. You can get like Steam and stuff. We'll offer a console UI, but with full Windows device. Yeah, so it's basically just the Xbox One UI, and then it's a Windows. So it's basically both. We'll offer Steam access, of course, and Steam games because it's going to be a PC, backwards compatible with Xbox games. Now, I want to preface everything I'm saying yet again is I believe that this is rumor. Sarah Bond states that the next console will be a very premium, very high-end curated experience. So I think this is all speculative, but in my opinion, logically, this makes sense. This is the direction that consoles needed to go in. And also, I find it interesting that like we're seeing this from the Xbox side. What is PlayStation doing? Are they doing something similar behind the scenes? That'll be interesting to see. So I have some things pulled up. So like right here at Micro Center, this was just one I quickly Googled. For $1,300, you can get in my opinion, mid-level gaming PC that you can play games right now. You know, 32 gigs of RAM, a 4060 Ti with 16 gigs of memory, a terabyte of SSD, Windows 11. I mean, boom, there you go. That's a mid-tier gaming PC. So, in this case, this actually was not the 16 gigabyte version. It was the 8 gig. Regardless, this is a mid-tier gaming. This would be a mid-tier gaming PC, and I'm trying to think about like the average consumer of Xboxes. As a kid, I was indoctrinated into gaming consoles. We started out on PS1, then we got a PS2, then we got an Xbox 360, we had a Wii, and then after the Xbox 360, I got an Xbox One. But shortly after, I went straight into gaming on a PC, on a laptop, and then I went to PC, and I haven't went back since. I haven't touched an Xbox in probably a decade. I will revisit my old consoles to play old video games, but to touch my Xbox One makes no sense now because actually all the games that I've played on that console, I have on my desktop. So with that said, it's going to be awkward to me. Who is this for? Is this for people that want to jump into gaming PCs, but want to still have that simplicity of an Xbox? In my opinion, this kind of is very narrow, and also like, is the hardware going to be interchangeable? Like on a console, you can't take the hard. Well, you can customize a console in the sense of like emulation and like some stuff you can change, but like you can't just take like the parts out of a PlayStation and put other parts in it and make it work. At least that's how I understand it. So I guess having this customizable gaming console, which is really just a gaming PC, um, will give people that intro into gaming on a desktop. But I think what is happening as a broader picture is that we're basically merging into just gaming on a PC. Because if you think about a gaming console, it is just a computer playing video games through a UI that is more easy to understand or navigate, and the hardware is set so that way developers have an easier time developing on it because they know the hardware. So, with that said, I think this is a very awkward position to put yourselves into. You know, this was the direction. I think you know this is the direction that consoles I think needed to go in, and we need to find out what does that look like. Who is the player base that's going to buy these hybrids? And it's not me. You know, I'm not interested in this. It does sound really cool, but like once you have a mid tier or high tier gaming PC and you have Steam, there's no real reason for me to go back. Like, there's not enough exclusivity on these consoles now for me, in my opinion, to go back. Now, Nintendo is a separate beast, obviously. You know, getting the Switch or whatever, you can't do that on PC unless you emulate. But I think it's interesting to go back through the era of Xbox. So, like, you have the Xbox that were launched in 2001, and then we were blessed with the Xbox 360 in 2006. 2005, and my journey ended at the Xbox One. I never upgraded to the Xbox One S. I hated how they did these names. It was absolutely disgusting because you went from Xbox One to Xbox One S to Xbox One X. Then you had an Xbox Series S and now an Xbox Series X. I hate it. It sucks. The naming of this sucks. They had a chance to do something hilarious and they didn't do it. We could have had the Xbox 720. I mean, would you not want a game on this thing? This one was not going to happen. This is sick. That's actually a prototype I think they had of the Xbox, like the original Xbox. But yeah, I mean, we've seen it all. The blue Xbox with like, oh man, it would have been sick. They still have something funny to do. They still have a chance. They could do it. They could name this next console the Xbox 720. That would be hilarious. But memes aside, this is not for me. I am not the consumer. I am not the person that's going to be buying this next console. But I do find it very interesting that, you know, this is happening, or at least that speculatively this is happening. We're going to get a console PC hybrid. And I think the biggest problem is going to be, who is this for? You know, if you look at game consoles, you know, units sold, for Xbox, their best selling was the 360. You know, that was 20 years ago. Next was the Xbox One, which undersold compared to the PlayStation 4, which was its competitor at the time. And if we go down even further, if I can find it, the Xbox One X and S or whatever, it's underneath the PlayStation 5, completely obliterated in sales compared to PlayStation. So I feel like for Microsoft and Xbox, it feels like they are, you know, sales wise, they're really putting themselves in a position to not do well. That price tag is already disgusting. People already aren't buying these things at $400, $500. Expect them to pay $1,000, $1,500. I think this is going to be an extremely niche market for these. I just don't see. I just don't see this panning out very well. But in my mind, my prediction when I was a child, this was the direction it had to go. So, with that in mind, I think that we're going to end up this is the last console. I think this is the final frontier for gaming consoles. Eventually it's just going to be taken over by PC. Now, obviously, we can't look at a list of computers that are sold. We don't know how many PC gamers are, but that number is rising year and year, in my opinion. And I just think that Xbox is in a position now to basically end the console run forever. Nintendo might continue doing it, but I think if we do this and this fails, this might just be it for consoles. Now, some of you might say, well, they can just always go back and make a $500 console. They can, but as gaming changes and progresses and people switch to PC, and this might actually convince more people to go to PC. I mean, this might actually accelerate that event of people converging to just becoming PC gamers. So which class do we think we're going to be most comfortable friendly? So, like, what's stopping me from buying a $500 PC and then using Steam's big picture mode for console UI? Rest in piss, Xbox. Yeah, I mean, this guy kind of is hitting on what I was saying is, who is this for? And it doesn't make sense. When a central report on Xbox, I don't know, I was going to say this, but the day has come. If the future Xbox really won't have paid online, it will be hybrid PC and will be able to play the entire Xbox library in history. It will automatically be the best console last generation, objective truth. Now, if that is true, if you could play every single video game that Xbox ever had and they somehow make backwards compatibility where you can play literally every Xbox from Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One, the entire catalog on this console, that would be the final console. That would actually be the nail in the coffin. I do not want to listen to that message. I can't imagine what that's saying. But it is interesting. A lot of people thinking really relatively the same thing I'm thinking, which is like, who is this for? Is this going to be the last console? I think the answer is, and I'm just using like my childhood brain and going back to there and thinking like the future is a hybrid. And it's like, now that we're here, it was inevitable. And I think that this is the end. I think this is it. Xbox, PlayStation. I think if you go into the production of basically making a gaming PC, but slapping Xbox on it, we're done. That's it. They're just gonna need to just start selling gaming PCs instead of consoles. So with that said, yet again, all this is speculative. I don't know if any of this is going to happen. This might be completely just made up. Who knows? But there it is. Well, that's it, guys. Are you interested in a next Xbox being $1,000 and it's a PC, basically? My assumption is probably a lot of you are going to say no. So anyway, that's it, guys.